Reads, 7th annual Tupelo Reads program next month. Our book, as many of you know since we announced it in May for summer reading and for book clubs, is Dispatches from Pluto by Richard Grant. We've had a lot of, in fact, probably we've sold more copies of this book than any of the first 6 we've had of the Tupelo Reads programs this summer. So I'm excited. I know a lot of people are reading it or have read it by now and are looking forward to Richard coming. As usual, we're going to have a party, kind of a celebration that week too. This will be Tuesday. The party will be at the Ice House. It'll be called Singing the Blues. We've got a great blues singer, Effie Burt from Oxford, and her band. Alfonso is coming back, our saxophonist, and that's going to be Tuesday night. If you want a ticket to those, there are 130 places. We've already sold 100 without advertising it to the public, just from people who've been before. Let me know today, and I'll make sure you get one of those. They're $35. I think it's the cheapest fundraiser in Tupelo, $35.
But it was last year that thing at Rome, so they'll know if they win. That's the reason I thought I didn't go.
Thank you. Last year it was at Romy's. This year it's at the Ice House. It does move. We move around depending on the venue. But so if you went last year, it was Stuart Stevens' book. Rick Cleveland spoke on it. That was at Romy's. This year it's at the Ice House. It's Dispatched from Pluto Tuesday night. Then on Wednesday, Richard's going, as per usual, he's going out to Tupelo High School to speak to the English classes that morning, and then he will come here to the library at 11:30 for the September Luncheon with Books, which will be downstairs, and you'll get a chance to hear him, and we look forward to him coming. He and Steve have become friends, and that says a lot about both of them, I think. So look forward to seeing you all next month at the Tupelo Reads program, and Babe, Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack, and I want to thank Lisa, who has really been so instrumental also in the Tupelo Reads program. It's a wonderful, wonderful event, and I look forward to it every year. Thank you for what you do, Jack and Lisa. At this time, I will ask Steve Holland to introduce our guest for us, and I'm sure he'll have just a few words to say.
A few words, yes. To follow up on Jack, now look, this Richard Grant's a real genuine piece of work, if y'all hadn't met him. And he's fallen absolutely in love with the state of Mississippi, and that's easy to do for those of us that were born here. We know that. But y'all come, because it's going to be a real treat. Like the old Mississippi-Alabama Fair and Dairy Show, this is going to be bigger and better than ever, Jack. So, well, about 2 weeks ago, I finally picked up enough cans to purchase a copy of the Mississippi Encyclopedia. Doc, I may be down in my back lifting it up here in a minute, so I might need your help. But about, I don't know, I think 15 years ago, Doc, I had a midlife crisis. Some of you might have had one of those before, I don't know. But I was going to do some wild and crazy things, which I have done some wild and crazy things in my life, Jane. But instead of doing all those wild and crazy things that I thought about, I enrolled in the master's degree program at the University of Mississippi to get an MA in Southern Studies. And I'll tell you, that ensuing 5 years was about as much fun as I've ever had in my life. Now, because I've been a member of the House of Representatives for so many years, I was accused of being given that degree, Piggy. Well, that's an absolute abomination and lie, believe you me. These two guys right here worked me to the bone. And I had a lot of good help from Dr. Glenda Seegers, the librarian at Lee-Itawamba Community College. I don't think I ever told y'all that, but she helped me with a good bit of my research. Man's got to find help where he finds help. I wanted to know, as academically as possible, why I was so proud to be a Southerner. And I think I achieved that goal by working under Dr. Charles Reagan and Ted at the Center for the Study of Southern Culture at the University of Mississippi. I've only perused this book. I dare say before I cross the chilling waters of Jordan that I'll never read it cover to cover. But it's an encyclopedia. So you reference this thing from time to time. When you want to know something about Mississippi, you can come to this book, Francis and Dan, and you will find everything that you ever wanted to know about the state of Mississippi. Jimmy, I don't know you that well. I read about you. I know you're a good guy, but I know these other two guys, and I really like them. So, the authors, come forward, present.
Thanks, Steve. Just to clarify, the 5 years in the MA program, it's a 2-year program, but that's but I just we try to tell the truth. What we're going to do is take maybe 20 minutes and talk about the Mississippi Encyclopedia, the purposes of it, the process of putting it together, process of bringing it to a close, and prospects for the future even, and then we'll have plenty of time if you have some questions. We found sometimes it's almost too big a book for people to ask questions about, but thanks to the Lee County Library and Friends of the Library, and thanks to Reed's, to Susan, to Jack Reed, thanks to everybody for having us here. We've been traveling all over the state and beyond, and it's been exciting, been interesting. The level of interest has been high everywhere we go, which is nice to see. Let me answer a few questions that people want to know and sometimes are a little too polite to ask. How long did it take is the question that's embarrassing. We found my colleague Jimmy Thomas is the editor of our newsletter, the Southern Register, and we found a story in the Southern Register in 2003 that said work began. It said we expect to be finished at about 2007. Hey, Bruce. And I've been reading my own. I'm the successor to Charles Reagan Wilson as the director of the Center for the Study of Southern Culture, and I've been reading my director's columns for some reason in our newsletter, and found that starting in 2008 I'd been promising for it to be finished just any time now. So it's but as Steve Holland said, it's big. It's almost 9 pounds. My mother said it is ever so slightly heavier than I was at birth. It's 1,500 or so pages, about 1,400 entries. It has about 650 contributors, different authors. A big process to keep up with people. To keep up with authors, to organize, to synthesize, to check, to edit, copy edit, proofread. That's part of why we're so pleased to have it out. There are questions other questions people want to know. Is it a celebration of the state of Mississippi? Is it a critique of the state of Mississippi? And what we've tended to say is it studies celebrations, and it studies critiques, and it studies defenses. So it's something to, the celebration comes from understanding all stories as part of the same story, not from a sense of defensiveness. As Steve said, it's a work of scholars, and its goal is to be inclusive of the famous topics, the iconic topics, the obscure topics. Our goal is to surprise people, to do a thorough job on the topics that we know people have to study when we study Mississippi. We come to Tupelo, and, well, you have a really good Elvis Presley entry. Yeah, we've got a really good Elvis Presley entry, but we've got entries on people that are not famous and never changed the world and are equally worth knowing about. There's every county has an entry. Every governor has an entry. We hope that this relationship between, and we kind of like it that most of the entries are about the same length. That means that governors and musicians and quilters and activists, their stories are about the same length. So it's not like people in power and people who are famous get a long time and then the rest of us get a paragraph. They're pretty much evened out. Over the months, a number of people have asked, and then I'll turn the microphone to my colleague Charles Reagan Wilson and Jimmy Thomas. People ask about the cover, and the cover was actually important to us. And if you look at the cover, it's not immediately obvious why that would be the cover, and that was kind of the point. The University Press of Mississippi, which sends regards, they've never done a book this large. And we were in an event at the Mississippi Book Festival this past Saturday and heard that their 250-page index was the longest index that they had ever done and ever imagined and ever seen. But the University Press of Mississippi wanted a cover that is colorful and that would stand out and be unique and that would make people want to pull it off the shelf